Conscious collaboration brings together entrepreneurs, change makers, and thought leaders. We aim to highlight the people that embody the idea of aligned mind, body, and business. Each week, we share, discuss, and learn from the various experiences and ideas of our guest experts. Through our discovery, we find a path to an aligned mind, body, and business.
What up, guys? This is Emily.
And I'm Lisa, and we are the Conscious Collaboration. Hey, Emily.
Hey.
It's been so fun already because I'd like to introduce to you all Maureen Calamia. She's a visionary author, speaker, and consultant who blends earth-based spirituality, biophilic design, and feng shui into deeply intuitive teachings. She's the founder of the Luminous Spaces School, where she leads courses that awaken our relationship with the natural world. And she recently launched the Enchanted Earth podcast, a beautiful platform that highlights sacred nature stories, intuitive wisdom, and expanding consciousness. And I had the great honor, Maureen, of attending and talking with you on your podcast last week. And I'm still just like chills thinking about it. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Emily and Lisa.
Yes, love to have you.
Yeah, being on your podcast was really just like having conversations with guests on our podcast. I feel it's a lot of like well-needed, well-appointed therapy for exactly what we need to hear at the right time.
Therapy DJ.
Yes. All right. So Emily on a previous episode came up with the concept of being a therapy DJ, which I think is brilliant. Yes. So stay tuned.
I have yet to help somebody with that method, but
it sounds cool.
We'll keep it in the back pocket.
Yeah. So it might develop. It may be a future collaboration, or we'll give it to one of our collective members to run with their own if they want to start theirs.
Yeah. Really, all it is random like singing, and if it reminds me of a line in a song, like it's coming out.
Or you could be like the third person in a therapy session to just start playing some music.
Yeah, like the hype woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So stay tuned for that.
Who doesn't want to walk around with a soundtrack,
Exactly. Every Gemini would love that.
Every Gemini. Yeah. I mean, don't you do that when you're listening to headphones? Like, no?
Yeah.
Am I the only one?
No,
Am I the only one who makes their own soundtrack?
I do. I constantly have a soundtrack in my mind, and even in my dreams, I have a soundtrack. But a lot of times I'll wake up and the music is like continuing into waking reality.
Wow. Well, that's nothing that I'm used to doing. So it's interesting.
Yes. It may be something that needs to be diagnosed and taken to a therapy DJ that I do that, but I also
we'd have all kinds of fun.
I think I actually
We've probably invented some of our own.
Yes, yeah. I think it comes from working in television for so many years and having audio piped into my brain while I'm multitasking. So I'm actually more comfortable having multisensory things happening at the same time. That means music playing while I'm working, or Instagram reel songs. Those get stuck in my brain. They're like, mind worms. Anyway.
Mind.
New word that Emily does not like.
Tape. Is that like a tapeworm? Eating your brain?
So, ladies, I would like to take it back to a little bit before we hit record and really tuning into our collective and getting a sense of what we feel our listeners need today. And a big message is that we're seeing this energy of determination in those around us, especially in the visionary and thought leader and entrepreneur space. And determination doesn't always mean work harder in the ways that we know today, right? And I'm showing Emily and Maureen the image on the card from the I Ching, the visionary I Ching cards. And if we're looking at this elementally, even just that red border around the artwork itself, it feels like determination is just a lot of contained energy and like I hear, making lists of I must do this to show my determination so that I can be successful. And I see that reflected in those that are reaching out to me as, oh, I had this big list of things to do today, but I only got 3 of them done. No matter how big they are, right? When is enough enough to demonstrate and to embody that your determination is aligned with success on your journey?
Yeah, I guess it's how you define success.
Right.
Mhm.
And, I try to define success as joy and happiness in my everyday life. And I mean, there are so many different definitions of it, but I think it's so often based on financial success.
Yes. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of financial strain and a divide in the world where it feels that I see as well too, and working with clients. People have more than one career at one time, looking to make an earning so that they can meet the needs of their lifestyle, which perhaps maybe our lifestyles have gotten um, out of hand in some regard or unbalanced. But it feels a lot, and I use the word scrappy, but it feels very scrappy in energy in terms of determination. Which
Well, and how
is
many people do you know who have all the money in the world and there's no happiness or joy?
yeah,
You know?
just as many on the other side. And to Maureen's point, what means success in terms of joy and happiness, you can have all of the what you would think you need to have, the items that you need, the money that you need, everything already bought and paid for in advance. But do you have all the friends that you need, or the joy, or the creativity, or the challenges in your life?
And belonging and connection, I think, are
Right.
huge parts
Yeah.
of that feeling joyful in our lives.
Yeah, good words. Yeah. That makes me think of the line in the hexagram that we read, talking about on your journey and walking your path alone, or do you have a companion, or do you have a committee?
Hmm.
And loneliness is the new smoking, right? Loneliness is, they say, equivalent to smoking like 15 cigarettes a day
Wow.
in terms of health outcomes. Yeah.
I had not heard that.
And that, however, I'm not certain how exactly they quantify this, but the blue zones and the whole idea of longevity and health span have been quite hot topics, I guess, over the last couple of years. And really, the one factor that is cohesive, amongst all of these different societies is connection. Relationships. The health of your relationships is like one of the biggest determinants of overall health.
And I'm going to interject here, not just human relationships, but relationships with all beings.
Yeah.
And recognizing our relationship with everything on this planet.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Today, I was doing a lot of work catching up on my social media and sending out all my emails today. And I'm facing the entrance to my house. So I can look out my beautiful picture window, and I see 2 women approach, and they're coming to my door. They were older, so I was a little bit worried about them walking up my steps. And so I immediately ran to the door to help them get up the stairs. And they were visiting to hand out invitations to invite me to their church. But when I opened the door, they were looking at the tree, the oak tree in the front of my house, and just like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful tree. So it's like they introduced themselves to me, but then turned to admire the tree. And they said, you have such a beautiful tree. And really, I mean, it was like the tree was a part of the conversation at that point.
Aww.
There was so much appreciation for the nature there. And I think, that's something that I take for granted, seeing the beautiful trees every day in my landscape. But I'm sure that's healthy for the women to be there to feel that, it made me feel good. I think maybe even it made the tree feel good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Trees love to be acknowledged. They love to be in relationship with us. Yeah.
Mhm.
You've had guests on before that are able to communicate with nature.
Yes, I've had many guests, and I think we all can and
I was going to ask that.
may have done without
Mhm.
realizing it. I know I've had different, and I also have to just say too that communication with a tree doesn't necessarily mean that you see this like big spirit in the tree or that
Right.
you're getting these booming words from the tree.
Right.
It could be as simple as feeling comforted when you're with the tree. It could be, if you have a question, it could be just an image comes to your mind that is a response to that question that really helps you, and you go, oh, yes, this is true. This is the way to go, or this is the solution, or whatever. And you can hear words kind of like in your inner ear. It doesn't have to be like so grandiose. I find that my connection and many people's connection with nature beings is so, so subtle that it can be easily missed. And if you catch it, it can be easily dismissed as your
Mhm.
imagination.
Mhm.
And that's so unfortunate. And that's kind of like my mission for my podcast and for my book. I want people to hear these stories and say, you know what? I had something similar that happened to me. I kind of forgot about it, and get them to think about it and realize that, yes, that was real.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I
We've
want to
got so much
normalize.
artifact. Yeah, we've got so much artifact and noise from
Mm,
technology and just modern life.
just in our own heads, right? We're out in our own
Carries over.
heads.
Mhm.
And, that gift, you were talking about determination and having kind of
Yeah.
like all your lists of things to do. Well, if people could put on that list and honor some stillness, it doesn't have to be a quote unquote meditation, because I think that word turns so many people off. They go, oh, I can't meditate, just at least stillness and
Mhm.
just be able to breathe. And yes, you're going to have the chatter in your head, but just let it, like I said, don't make a big deal of it. Spend 10 minutes. Everybody can do that. And everyone should do that, because you will be able to accomplish so much more in your day when you give yourself that.
Mhm. Yeah. that
Sometimes I get these little
restoration.
factoids and I can't remember where I heard them or found them, but I have heard that, of course you have grounding and just putting your bare feet on the ground, but that standing under a tree in order to do that, or if you are in a situation where you can't take your shoes off, that sitting or standing under a tree like supercharges that grounding energy and connection. And
Absolutely.
I don't know how they would quantify this either, but that's somehow equivalent to like a longer period, an hour or something of meditation.
Mhm.
Well, there's so many things that I love about this. I'm a big geek for science, and especially about our brains, neurology, neuroscience, consciousness. I was just listening into a researcher that was doing neuroscience research. We know they put those caps on and they
Yes.
measure the activity in the brain when people enter. This project was Catholic churches and cathedrals in the DC area, Washington, DC.
Mhm.
And they found consistently that when people entered these spaces, the prefrontal lobe calmed, and
Hmm.
and that is what meditation does.
Mhm.
But when you enter a quote unquote sacred space, it's easier to get there, because the sacred geometry, um, perhaps where it was even built, the land that it was
Mhm.
built on is already sacred. There's been so many people that just reinforce that meditative state that it entrains your brain as soon as you enter, that you just, and so if that's possible, then think about doing that research out under trees. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, I'm going to have to look that up, but basically those are our sacred places.
Mm-hmm.
These beautiful wise trees or huge like boulders, glacial erratics we have up here in the Northeast that are left over from the glaciers. These trees, I mean, these rocks are so sentient too, and we don't even think about that. But
Mm-hmm.
these places are, nature is, we're able to reach these levels of meditative state and calm and peace and refreshment when we enter that space. And with the intention too, we can even get there quicker.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know
like
for
that
me
you brought that up.
personally, if I'm having a moment or a day, or I need a quick mental health fix, like I'm going
Mhm.
outside
Mm-hmm.
first thing, by the
I
beach,
noticed,
preferably.
yeah, the beach too. I noticed that, Emily, about where your studio location used to be. So where Emily's location used to be had this park in front of
Oh,
it.
that big banyan.
And there was a
Yeah,
giant banyan tree, and
that's great.
people who felt lost, including transients and people that were healing through alcoholism. There was a treatment center nearby. Seemed to be drawn to this tree and lay at the base of it, and they would just have their rolled towels or whatever, including business people that would be taking their coffee break next door. They would be drawn and go out there and lay down. And I talked to several people there before just walking through, and they would return to the same spot there for contemplation or just like, feeling lost or looking for an answer or so on and so forth. But that type of large entity, a tree or a rock, is very like, I don't know if this is but vibratory. It's very
Right. It
like,
pulls us in.
yes, yeah.
Especially
It
those
does.
banyans with the organic, the winding
Roots.
vines and just the roots. And they're so, it almost looks like an ocean tree or something, like the waves of the ocean.
Mhm.
Those are special.
Yeah, I would love to see those glacial formations that are left over. I've not visited your neck of the woods before to see that in person, but just the idea of there being thousands of years of energy contained in something that's melting and refreezing, and the fragments inside is just wild. And it's translucent in some places and solid in others.
Yeah. And you can see the veins of the different minerals in the cracks and
Wild. Yeah, I've
the
never seen that.
crystal. Yeah. They're typically like a granite kind of
A granite. Yeah.
rock.
Oh, that's so cool.
Just amazing. And Long Island has some, but you go across the Sound to New England and they're like everywhere. It's just remarkable.
It's like a record of history.
Yeah.
And a container of energy of all the things that have happened in that place before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking, reflecting back on the reading in terms of meeting people in this energy of determination. One of the messages that came through is a lot of divine guidance in this, and being able to trust in that you're doing enough. You have this great abundance and luck around you already, and really trusting in that you're on path and what you're doing is doing something, and that's enough. What would you say, Maureen, comes to mind to you in terms of this path and journey that people may be on when it comes to nature?
I think more people are waking up to this like kinship. I think for so long, humanity has looked at nature as a resource, and then I would say in the last few decades, people really started coming around to that it was a place for refuge, to help, like a sanctuary, to help us heal and de-stress. And that's where the practice of Shinrin Yoku and forest bathing and ecotherapy practices and all that have really become more popular. Of course, indigenous cultures have this notion of reciprocity with nature. And I think we're just starting to wake up to that we're in a reciprocal relationship, that we don't go out to nature to get healed. We go out to nature to develop a conversation, a dialogue. And it could be just emotional feeling. It doesn't have to be like, oh, hi, I'm Maureen and blah, 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 although it could be like that,
It could be, yeah. We listen and we don't judge.
and wait for a response. And we may actually hear a name. I actually have a tree on one of my walks. It's this huge, I don't even know what kind of tree it is. It might be a tulip, but it might be an oak. And it's Olaf. He told me his name was Olaf. And he's like an old grandfather tree. And I go to Olaf and I go, hey, if there's anybody around, I say, hey, quietly, but yeah. Wait. So I mean, we can have this beautiful connection
and recognition
with the world around us, and recognition, and it's it enriches our lives. I think we need more playfulness. We need more sense of adventure and curiosity, like when we were children. So that image that you were talking about, that you got from my conversation with you, this little child, that's the way I feel like it's starting to open up. We're starting to realize that we need to be in that childlike place again of wonder and awe and just the mystery of it. It's fun. It doesn't have to be serious.
Right. A real seeking. I just love the idea of children seeking in nature. They're looking for the treasures. They're looking for the berries. They're just, treasure hunts every day. I love that you have that practice. And I was thinking too, when you were talking about the reciprocity of nature and honoring nature for what it is. And I remember, and I've attended several of your biophilic design classes and met some of your students. And the conversations that we've had have been so great. And I thought about it a lot during our hurricanes that came through, where a lot of the big trees came down, and it was like Jurassic Park, people would say, because there were giant trees in the streets. And then there came a lot of heartache because trees were being chopped down and people were protecting the trees from developers. And then there was a lot of conversation. Well, what do you do with the tree now that it's fallen? So I really appreciate in that moment of destruction that people were having those conversations and they were thinking, I don't want to fully let this tree go. Could we? And I know someone, maybe even you in our conversations before, talked about take this tree and let part of it stay fallen. And we use this as something that we play on. It stays in the garden. Maybe we put fairy houses around it. We leave the stump, or maybe it becomes furniture, and that's a table and chairs, or maybe that's mulch that we leave on the property, versus let's get rid of these trees. They're our enemies because they could fall on us.
I still see some around town too that they've not quite decided what to do with them yet, it looks like.
Yeah, it was a really deeply emotional time in a lot of nature that was fallen, and people did have a lot of fear of trees, and probably still even today, of the great oak trees that we have in this area. And it's a densely populated area that we live in. Most of us can reach out and hold hands with our neighbor from the kitchen window. But everyone loves and really reveres the nature so much that it becomes this conversation.
That's wonderful. And I find and maybe it's shifting, but in too many neighborhoods, you see trees coming down, being taken down, again, over fear of insurance claims and destruction, and I get it, but taking down healthy trees. And it's so sad, like in my neighborhood where I'm in suburbia here, and we're on small plots of land, and so many of my neighbors have just taken a whole bunch of trees down. And our house is like the one house that has trees all around.
Right.
We
I
kind of
imagine
stick
that.
out a little bit. And
I want to
we've had a
look out
few
my window
trees.
and see them. Yeah.
Yeah. And we did have a couple of trees that have fallen, actually 3 now. But it's been, almost 30 years. And, you know, there's hopefully a transition away from trees being a nuisance. Because what is so crazy is that at once people go into a neighborhood because they're attracted by the trees. Maybe they're not realizing it, but on a subconscious level, they say, there's life here. It feels good here. And they may not realize why it feels good. And then they go onto the property and then they take all the trees down because, I don't want to clean up after them. I don't want my landscaper to have to do it. And then they ruin the neighborhood. So
yeah, I mean, that canopy, it's so beautiful, the tree canopy, especially the mature canopy that connects across streets and over several neighbors, or to Emily's point, being able to see it outside every window. It's so beautiful. It's like Emily always says, I feel like I live in a tree house. But it has this like feeling of nostalgia, reconnecting us with our youth and play. And I agree. It's really disheartening to see neighborhood shift in a way that is so stark. But you know what? I think we both said it. We all said it in terms of, it comes from a place of fear or confusion or not having enough resources to know how to do better.
And perhaps from an unconscious place.
Yeah, there is this. So Emily and I talk a lot, and Maureen and I talk within the International Feng Shui Guild a lot too about being in period 9 in Feng Shui. And what are the big themes that you see and how that may be impacting us in a way that we can maybe look to nature?
Well, I am not a big classical feng shui practitioner, but just very top line is the fact that we're in a feminine period, right? It's the middle daughter. And so I feel like it is rising feminine energy, and the feminine is Mother Nature and our love of that. So I do feel very confident that we'll start switching gears a bit and away from the very toxic patriarchal way of being and become more wise and loving to the planet.
Yeah, what is the biggest theme in the patriarchy that is the antithesis to everything that you believe in? Is there one thing that grates you the most?
Being in survival mode.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest, competition, fear, all around that.
Yeah.
And we're all taught from a very, early age that, success and competition, that's what you need to do. And I think we need to really bring that down. And it is simply the dichotomy or the opposites of fear and love.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that we hear resonant across the board with all of our guests and being a part of the conscious collaboration is looking to have more of these deeper conversations and looking for the wisdom, right, in the feminine and the ideas that we haven't tapped into yet that have probably been disregarded for being too feminine or too yin, or just, it's not perhaps even tangible enough.
Exactly. I was just going
Yeah.
to say that too. It's not
Yeah.
material. It's not tangible, material. And we have to let loose the grip of that need, because that's only part of being a human. And the other part is this intangible consciousness, which is actually underneath it all, is the background of it all. And the material reality just kind of is one aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing that I'm personally fascinated by, especially in recent years, and you said something just a second ago that reminded me of it, but is the mycelium network, and how that operates as a communication system for the entire planet, basically. Um, what are your thoughts on that? Do you?
Yeah, the fun term for that is called the Wood Wide Web.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, I love
And
that.
yeah, and actually, I'm learning more about this. I'm just at my infancy stages, but water, the water on our planet, the water in our bodies, the water in everything, that animates everything, like kind of like chi. But water is consciousness. Water is the transmissions of thoughts and emotion and feeling, and it's light consciousness. So really, the mycelium works because it's transmitting the water.
Mm. It's just like it is just like fascia within the human body. It really operates the same way. And fascia is crystalline in nature almost, and yeah, operates using water. That's awesome.
What I love in science is that you realize that it's above, as above, so below, right? So if you see something in the heavens, know that you're going to see that pattern here. And not just here, but you're going to see it deep, deep, deep in here, the microscopic level, because it's all the same. It's like fractals, right? And there's so much that science, quantum physics is really kind of uncovering. And I believe, talking about astrology for a second, Uranus is going to be going into Gemini sometime later this year.
Jupiter's already there.
Jupiter's there. Uranus is the planet of sudden transformation, like lightning bolt. It's science, it's technology, it's consciousness, it's like switching. So I think we're going to be in a really accelerated growth of understanding consciousness, quantum physics in relation to the physical world.
Cool. Okay.
I like that forecast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, it feels like it's bubbling up to the surface now.
And then, Pluto just moved into Aquarius now for the next roughly 20 years. So that is also, Aquarius is the planet that's ruled by Uranus. So you've got these two, and they're in a trine in the sky right now. So they're in a very positive relationship that's kind of like ushering us into this new awakening. We're going to have leaps and bounds in technology and understanding consciousness. Yeah.
Now, with that, is there an element of you get more of the benefit if you're open and receptive to it versus, sudden transformation can feel very uncomfortable regardless. But if you're in a more resistant kind of
Yeah.
state, isn't that maybe going to make it exponentially more uncomfortable?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You think about you think about our own lives when we've had leaps in consciousness, right? We've been awakened to a level of consciousness because of it's always a challenge in our lives, right? Something happens to us and we're given the free will to awaken to something new or to be collapsing in fear and anxiety. So everybody's given that chance by free will. So it all depends on how you approach change. I happen to be a person who loves change. So, I kind of get excited, as you can see. I'm like one for change. But other people are much more resistant. So yeah, when you're resistant, you're definitely going to have a harder time.
Do you think that some of that astrology connection, mutable and fixed, and that has an effect on how we handle that?
Yes. I mean, I think people that have more like if you happen to have a very strong fixed quality chart, which I'm trying to think it's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. If you have a lot of planets there, you're definitely a person that feels very reluctant about change. You like things to stay the same. Cardinal signs are pretty open, and mutable signs definitely. Mutable signs are like, yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. Now I'm kind of balanced between them, so I don't really have one stronger than another. But I also look at my Uranus in my chart is conjunct Pluto and my moon, so I'm just a very eccentric person to begin with. So in the way I think, and my passions. So I'm definitely open for it. I'm like, bring it on.
You know what it makes me think of, and this might be not okay to talk about. I don't know if this is going to repel some people, but I was thinking about in terms of creation of new ideas, and I was just having a conversation with Emily and I went to a park with a mom friend on a play date over the weekend, and we got into the topic of childbirth and reflecting back on the birth of our children, and there was so much fear around it. Like my biggest fear was having my child unassisted, and that ended up happening. But I learned in that experience that the more that I resisted having the baby, the harder it was. So I knew that like shift, it was like acceptance and allowing there to be creation and transition from here to there. That's not something that I think they could teach me and all of the midwifery classes. That was something that I had to realize on my own. But the more that we resist something, the more it's going to impact us in a negative way.
Yeah, the more suffering.
The more suffering. Yeah. Like why hold on to something so tightly? Just stay in there another day. Stay in there until we get to the
I was ready to evict. I did. I took castor oil on the day that I went into labor.
That's not something I would have done.
Oof. And talk about sudden transformation. Like sudden and uncomfortable. I was like, I don't think there's a needle going into my spine right now. We're going for it.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, okay, let's call the doctor, when she's ready. I'm like, she's ready.
That's such like a primal thing, I think, as we talk about the feminine part of, I mean, there's the masculine and the feminine in the equation. But that female intuitive primal instinct to interject. Not to say that females are any better, obviously, but that allowing and that yin, very open intuitiveness and trusting is very important.
Yeah. Yeah, surrender. And that is basically what we're going through right now. All of us collectively, we're being rebirthed.
Mhm.
We're in the birth canal, and all the metaphors. I
All
love
the
the
metaphors.
chrysalis,
Yes.
and I've had so many dreams about me giving birth over the past couple of years, and all different stages of birth, to having a baby, to then giving birth again and another dream. So I've had this theme of birth for the past couple of years, and then I had a dream of chrysalis. Literally, there was a chrysalis who was guiding me just a couple of weeks ago. And then I had a dream that somebody made me this beautiful coat that I was like, they handmade this coat, and it had these big sleeves. And I realized, oh my God, it was like a butterfly. The coat was like beautiful colors and flowers, and it had these big long sleeves, and it was beautiful. So,
and like iridescence.
Yeah, I think we're all like, if you're open to your dreams, pay attention, see what the themes are coming up. But I think this is the process that humanity's going through, and some people are going to suffer. It's hard to say, but some people will. And
I hope they find their tree.
Surrender. Yeah, if you're one of those people who, you go to fear, get out into nature. Absolutely.
And what else do you have to lose?
Free, it's accessible, it's the best, literally the best medicine.
Yes. Get out to
and
the
you've
beach.
met countless people through your podcasting that share these common threads and stories. And I really encourage people to take a listen to Maureen's podcast. We're going to include the notes inside our description box. And Maureen is inside of the Conscious Collaboration Collective, our close and private Facebook group. But I invite you all to listen, because it does help you to remember and reconnect with those magical moments where we're looking. Maybe we need those magical memories and moments of wonder that you describe, and that communication, so that we can feel more trust.
Trust, and like that feeling of embraced.
Yeah.
We're loved. We're loved.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be fine.
I needed to hear that. Thank you so much, Maureen, for joining us today in this conversation. And I always get chills listening to you, whether it's something practical or whether it's something intuitive and imaginative. You just have a way that's very special. So it's a great honor to have you join us in this. And I hope that you'll come back one day, maybe when we see this shift in the stars that you're talking about, that major change and innovation and the breakthrough. I don't know when that is. We'll have to see.
I think it might be the fall.
Okay.
Summer or fall. Yeah.
Summer or fall. Yeah. We'll have to regroup at that time and see what is it, like tune into what's going on.
Yeah. Awesome.
Is there anything else that, I don't want to cut you short though, because this is such like a good conversation. Is there anything that you feel that you would like to share that we didn't have enough time to illuminate, because this is such a well-attuned conversation?
Yeah, no, I think it's just reiterating just time for self-care and stillness, just taking a walk, and it just being like aware and present. Because when we're thinking about things, we're all in our heads, and we're thinking about the future or we're thinking about the past. So if you become more present and just observe, just let yourself observe the colors around you in nature. Look at the sky, look at if there's any flowers, any leaves, look at the ground, see all the different colors and textures, and just having a little gratitude for that. It can really kind of bring you back to yourself. And it doesn't have to be, like we said, a major meditation practice, but even if you do that on the way to your car, when you're on your way to the store or work, it could really, really make a difference.
Love it. I've been really into Dr. Joe Dispenza lately, and he's always talking about how you must feel abundance to actually have abundance, and the kind of signature emotion there is gratitude. And so literally just being able to go, well, how do I do that? Just being able to go outside, and I mean, we're very fortunate here in Florida to not have to go very far at all, no matter where you are, to find something pretty in nature. But to just be able to go outside and access that feeling of gratitude and abundance just from looking at what is naturally available to you, I think is really, really special and important.
Yeah, and no matter where you are in the world, you have a sunset.
Yeah.
And that is just
Yeah.
amazing. Why do we keep our sunsets for like vacation?
Right.
We saw a beautiful sunset on the beach. Well, you've got a beautiful sunset every day of your life. Even if it's clouds, it could be even more magnificent. Look at the way the clouds are interacting with with whatever the sun is doing. Yeah.
It's a different show every night.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you both. Everyone will include Maureen's information, how you can get in touch with her, the links to her podcast, and where you can learn more. We invite you inside of the Conscious Collaboration Collective to talk more with Maureen, and we invite you to answer our questions that we're putting in there too, and to keep you engaged and to support you at this time. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Talk to you in 5.
Talk to you in 5. Bye, guys.
Thank y'all so much for listening to our podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends so they can join our circle of collaboration on this journey. You can find us on Instagram at Conscious Collaboration Podcast, on Spotify, iTunes, and Audible, to name a few. Please join us next time for another deep dive into how you can live life in more alignment, mind, body, and business. Send us your questions and comments in our DMs or email us at consciouscollaborationpodcast@gmail.com. See you in 5 minutes.